improvement on the education system, which Mzwandile Mbeja, my reporter, is in conversation with the MEC of Education in Gauteng, Panyaza Lesofie. Mzwai, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Abongile. Indeed, we're continuing with the events here at Orlando Stadium. With me is the MEC for Education in this province, Panyaza Lesofie. How important is this day for you as the MEC, particularly because it relates to your constituency?
It's a very important day. It's a day where we rejected Gata education. It's a day when we wanted equality. It's a day that we wanted freedom. It's a day that we wanted our children and their children to study together. It's a day that we said we need quality education so that we can compete with the best in the world. So it's a very, very important day for us to reflect, take stock, and determine where we are. Are we where we want to be? Are we delivering on the expectations that we created? Are we living on the legacy of those that left this world so that for us can be freedom? So we're quite excited that we are here. 42 years ago, we couldn't be here. We are here. 42 years ago, our children could not access the number of higher education institutions that they have. If you check the higher number of people that are passing their matric in this particular province alone, 34,000 learners got bachelor passes. So it's an indication that we've opened the doors of learning. But are those doors accepting quality inside? Are those doors producing quality outside? And that's where the debate is. And that's exactly what we need to do.
What kind of challenges do you think need to be attended to immediately? We have seen what happens, particularly in various communities when they protest. The first thing they target is school. And then how are we building the future of our country when people do this?
We'll never take anyone who ban a school serious. Their minds are sick. They need to be examined. Because during the difficult times of 1976, where people had legitimate demands, there was no single school that was banned. If someone can be elected, the council decide to ban a school, ban a clinic, ban a library. In Gauteng, if you ban a school, you'll see to finish. You're not going to rebuild it because you can't ban something that empowers you, empowers your child, develop paths for growth, give you a career path that will ensure in the ultimate end to defeat poverty. But you decide to ban that institution, a very precious, important institution in any community. Actually, when we grew up, a school used to be where you need to run if there's no water, if there's no electricity, even if when there is violence in a community, people will seek shelter at a school, not ban a school. So those people that are banning our school, we are urging those provinces, allow them to see to finish. Don't take resources that were budgeted for other communities. Just because those communities are peaceful, you remove those resources and give to people that are violent, mindless, sick, and they have no ambition to ensure that our children get education. So where we are, things happened. People had valid reasons. Where we are, things went astray. People had valid reasons, but there was no single school that was banned. And that is why our argument is very, very clear. You ban a school, you must see to finish.
Thank you very much, MEC. Those very strong words there from the MEC, cautioning really to say, as much as people do have demands on certain issues, but banning a school is a no-no. Back to the studio.
All right, then, MEC for Education here in Gauteng, Panyaza Lesofie, in conversation there with our reporter, Mzwandile Mbeja. Some bit of correction there. Today we are celebrating the 42nd anniversary of what has come to be known as June 16. And of course, we did say that events are taking place throughout the country in commemoration for this day that has been deemed as very historic here in South Africa. We understand that the Thabo Mbeki Foundation is also hosting its own event at Darfontein here in Johannesburg. Bani Pityana is in the podium. Let's take a listen.
The approach was to focus on 5 key chapters by 5 of Africa's leading intellectuals. South Africa's Bani Pityana covering historical and political issues in a comprehensive introduction, and you've just heard about that. Nigeria's Adebayo Olukoshi discussing economic issues. African-American Molefi Asante debating Pan-Africanism. Uganda's Mahmoud Mamdani assessing humanitarian intervention. And South Africa's Chris Landsberg analyzing foreign policy. These are actually the core issues in assessing Mbeki's legacy. Pityana's introductory chapter acknowledges Thabo's pivotal role in creating South Africa's post-apartheid state As Mandela's de facto prime minister, Mbeki was the dominant political figure in South African politics for 14 years. Due to a long personal relationship with his subjects spanning nearly 5 decades, though, as he notes, not as a member of Mbeki's inner circle, Pitiana's chapter is sympathetic without being hagiographic. As a member of the ANC Youth League and also of Steve Biko's Black Consciousness movement, Pitiana served as a bridge between the two movements.
The President will now be joining us. He'll be coming to do meet and greet. He will walk around the stadium. So we hope that you'll greet him with ululation and in a disciplined manner. Are we all here? Sidibeng, are you here? Ekuruleni, are you here? Swane, are you here? Johannesburg, are you here? Westland, are you here? Westbury, are you here? The President is coming out right now. Akesimbuliseni ngezandla. Jovicho, President Jovicho. Jovicho, President Jovicho.
All right. The President, Cyril Ramaphosa, is in the house. Make some noise. He's going to do a walk, guys. He's already walking around. He's going to do a meet and greet. Shout out to my mother, man. Make some noise for our amazing President, Cyril Ramaphosa. As he makes his way around, we're still commemorating June 16, 1976. It was a very sentimental day today, where a group of young people came out in masses to stand in the gap to say no to the apartheid regime. If you didn't know what was happening today, make some noise for our President. Lili Zelawen. Maibuye. Amanda! Amanda! Maibuye! Lilizela, Lilizela! I'm a flight. The President is taking an amazing walk around. He's greeting you all. This is the very first June 16 that is in the presidential seat. We're feeling very honored. He's walking around to meet you guys. If you have ever thought you're not accounted to anything, today we are here to tell you that you're important and the country depends on you. For the very first time ever in the history of South Africa, we've ever seen a president doing a meet and greet walk. Oh, Pamakabane! Oh, Pamakabane! Wenukalelani, wenukalelani. I see tulam danam wenukalelani. ceremony.
Okay, right, ululation there, celebrations as President Cyril Ramaphosa arriving here in Orlando Stadium. Of course, he's expected to deliver the main address for today. He's maiden as the president of the country. It's the first time that he speaks on June 16 since he's been elected as the president a few months ago. And of course, I can see there he's actually working with the Arts and Culture Minister, Natim Tetwa, and of course, MEC for Education here in Gauteng, Panyazeli Sophie. A lot of excitement being shown here by the president himself. He looks like he's looking forward to, telling us what his plans are in as far as tackling issues that affect youth in South Africa, and in particular those who seek to have a bright and a better future in terms of, being assisted by government when they want to be entrepreneurs and things like those. Of course, he will be taking to the podium in the next few minutes where he will be telling us his plans and, of course, the programs that are in place from the government side in as far as youth empowerment and youth development is concerned here in South Africa. And of course, the MCs, when I check out the program that are going to be directing us here, is MEC Faith Mazibuko, and of course the minister himself, Natim Tetwa, are going to be directing who should be doing what in as far as this program is concerned. And of course, the National Youth Development Agency chairperson, he's also going to be taking us to the podium to give us his sort of views and remarks on this day. Sfiso Mtweni there will be talking on behalf of the NYDA. A lot of expectation in as far as what the NYDA has to say when you look at some of the challenges that young people face in South Africa. Most of those who want to venture into business, are they still relevant? Are they still, up and ready to actually help out those who want to venture into business in the country? There's President Cyril Ramaphosa blowing some kisses to these South Africans who've gathered here at Orlando Stadium. We are yet to hear what he has to say about some of the challenges that face young people, the quality of education that many analysts have been complaining about, saying that it needs some real look in as far as its improvement processes are concerned. So we're going to hear what he has to say in as far as that is concerned. Happy President Ramaphosa, as one can see on our screen right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the patriots. Thank you for the song. Let us acknowledge all the organizations that are here with us today. We've also been joined
There
by
you
the
go,
PAC,
Faith Mazibuko,
the
MEC for
June
South
16
Government in
Foundation.
Gauteng, dressed in.
We've also been joined by the ANC, the Youth League, the NYDA. Let's also acknowledge Minister. Let us also acknowledge Minister Natim Tetwa, who is with us here today. Let's also acknowledge MEC Lusufi, who is standing in for our Premier. Let us finally acknowledge the arrival of our President, and that Lebu President, Unale Runa Kajeku. Let's also acknowledge all the ministers and all people who have joined us today, being the 16th of June. Without any waste of time, we will stand up to sing the national anthem and start our proceedings today. Is the brass band here? Do you have the CD for the national anthem? I'm getting the CD. CD for the national anthem. May we all stand up. Bonga boba baba susi gogo. We stand attention. We are about to sing the national anthem. Can we all stand up? Thank you very much.
I am asking everyone to stand on their feet as we are about to sing the national anthem. Wokumuntu abengenyawo, muthu kaofela emeka maunto ahaye. Ritopina national anthem ya rona. Nkosi sikeleli Afrika. Maluphakanyiswa phonolayo, izwa imithandazo yethu, Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho layo, Morena buluka sithaba sahesu, uferise dintoli matwenye, usibuluke sibuluke sithaba sahesu, sithaba South Africa, South Africa. 80 bloofan onze iem, en die diepte van ons jem. Ons van die grenzen. Sounding for freedom in South Africa, our land.
Thank you. Thank you very much for singing the national anthem so well. That shows you are patriotic in your own country. Let us allow the trailblazers to release the balloons in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now again. Halala, the trailblazers, halala. Ahambile kama baluni abo. Without any waste of time, let us welcome MEC Sufi to speak on behalf of our Premier, Babu David Makura.
Amandla. Amandla. Haba pase bana, haba pase. Haba pase bana, haba pase. Haba gredi bazari bana, haba gredi bazari. Afumane mantlu, afumane. Hallelujah, lefase la rona, hallelujah. Thank you so much, Program Director, President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, Minister Nathi Mthethwa, the leadership and chairperson of NYDA, Sfiso Mthweni, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Gauteng Provincial Government, we want to welcome you here as we commemorate the 42nd anniversary of a very crucial day in the history of our country. A day that we declared that we don't need gutter education, a day that we declared that we want our children to get quality education like any other child in any other part of the world. We want to welcome you here to confirm to you that we are carrying that spirit forward, and we want our children to know that this government loves them so much that we want them to choose education and not to choose any other thing that is opposite to education. We want you to appreciate that government is investing lots and lots of money for you to get a better opportunity and a better future so that you can be a better person in society. We want to congratulate government for taking a very important step to declare education as a very important priority, but above that, to say there will be free higher education for all, so that there must be no child that qualifies to go to university that can get a bursary to go to university. President, we welcome that decision. It's very important that this generation that is inside this stadium become the first generation to break the chain of poverty, that this generation becomes the first generation to say they don't want social grants, they want to have graduations as an area where they can queue and not queue for a social grant, President. We want this generation to be the first generation that will declare to government that we don't need an RDP house because we'll be educated to have our own houses so that we can live better and provide all the solutions that we need. So, on behalf of the Gauteng Provincial Government, its institutions, President, and young people, you are welcome here. This is Gauteng, this is Soweto. You are free to contribute to a better life for all our children. Amandla! Amandla! Siyabonga.
Thank you very much, MEC Lesufi, for the words of welcome and encouraging us as young people that ours is to live a better life, and that Gauteng is very proud to have young, progressive young people. We'll now call upon the executive chairperson of the NYDA, Mr. Sfiso Mthweni, to also come and give us a message on behalf of young people.
Amandla! 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 Soweto! Soweto! Ayeye President Cyril Ramaphosa, ayeye! Ayeye President Cyril Ramaphosa ayeye. Uzoyithola kanjani? Uhlele khoneni? Etha abantu abatsha etha. Etha abantu abatsha etha. Ayeye abantu abatsha ayeye. Ayeye abantu abatsha ayeye. Hoy hoy Gauteng hoy hoy. Hoy hoy Gauteng hoy hoy. Amandla. Long live the anti-spirit of Peter Mokaba. Long live. Long live the anti-spirit of Solomon Mahlangu. Long live. Long live Winnie Mandela. Long live. Amandla. We Solomon. Solomon. Yo. We Solomon. Solomon, yo. Waeli soja. Waebula, waebula. Waeli soja. Waebula, waebula. Solomon, Solomon, yo. Solomon, Solomon, yo. Waeli soja. Waebula, waebula. Waeli soja. Waebula, waebula. Amandla. Amandla. Awethu. Hoy bambe. Hoy bambe. Hoy bambe. Hoy bambe. Yo 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 isipam salabafa osinkumbus Winnie Mandela isipam salabafa osinkumbus Winnie Mandela amandla awethu etha abantu abatsha etha. Thank you very much. The program director, who is our MEC, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, the Minister in the Presidency, responsible for planning, monitoring and evaluation, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the Minister of Arts and Culture, Nathi Nyambose Mthethwa, the Acting Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, the Deputy Chairperson of the NYDA, the CEO and members of the board, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, the future of South Africa that is with us here today, the young people of our country. It gives us a great honor and privilege to be addressing the 42nd anniversary of the June 16, 1976. Comrade President, we are not here to say a lot today. The generation of 1976 fought for the freedom of our country. The generation of today, in 2018, is a generation that wants economic freedom for the young people of South Africa. The generation of today is a generation that wants education and skills development in our country. The generation of today is a generation that wants jobs for young people in our country. President, jobs are there in South Africa. The problem is an animal called experience. We are told as young people that for you to get a job, you need experience. How are you supposed to get experience when you've got education that is there for you to get a job that you can get? So, President, as the NYDA, we are calling for the removal of experience as an entrance requirement, especially for graduates. Comrade President, we remain unconvinced that when a company wants a receptionist, when a company wants an administrator, we are told that you need 5 years experience as an administrator. You need 5 years experience as a receptionist. You don't need 5 years experience as a receptionist. All you need is to know how to answer a call. In any case, we've got phones. We've been answering phones our whole lives. So we continue to say that the only way to fight unemployment for the graduates is to remove experience as an entrance requirement. Comrade President, we're here to honor the gallant heroes and heroines of our revolution. We're here to honor Solomon Mahlangu. We're here to honor Peter Mukaba. We're here to honor Hector Peterson. We're here to honor Steve Biko. We're here to honor Tsietsi Mashinini. We're here to honor Unkgopotse Tiro. We're here to honor Umamune Winnie Mandela. We're here to honor the generation of 1976. We're here to honor Nelson Mandela. We're here to honor Mama Albertina Sisulu, because those are revolutionaries which were young activists. In closing, President, on our right-hand side, President, we've got trailblazers. We've got beneficiaries of this government who have gone through the NYDA. On the right side, President, is a success story of the ANC government post-1994. On our right side, President, we've got young people who are pilots. We've got young people who are business people. We've got young people who are trailblazers in this particular country, which means, President, that the NYDA has turned the corner. The NYDA is making sure that the lives of young people improve for the better. The NYDA is getting clean audits. The NYDA has employed the youngest CEO in this country. With those few words, President, the budget of the NYDA is very small. We call for the increase of the budget of the NYDA because there's 19 million economically active young people. If you spend 400 million as a government, you're only spending 20 rand per young person. We're saying to you, President, at least $1 billion for youth development in this country, at least $1 billion to be able to improve the lives of young people in this country as we advance towards the 4th Industrial Revolution. Thank you very much. Amandla!
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the NYDA, Comrade Sfiso Mtsweni, for talking to the young people and sharing with the President the wonderful work that is being done by the NYDA. I'll now call upon Minister Nathi Mthethwa to also come and give us remarks and also introduce the President. Minister.
Thank you, Program Director. Ala ala Soweto, ala ala. Ala ala Gauteng, ala ala. Program Director, my co-program director, MEC Mazibuko, His Excellency the President of the Republic of South Africa, ministers and deputy ministers here present, MEC Lesufi representing the Premier of Gauteng, the leadership of the NYDA, fellow South Africans. This month, the Youth Month, as the chair has said, is commemorated under the theme towards a socio-economically empowered youth. We are here, therefore, today to reflect on what happened from 1976 to date. And as we do that, we are reminding ourselves that we also mark a centenary of Tata Nelson Mandela and Ma Albertina Nontsikelelo Sisulu, who would have turned 100 years had they lived. We also pay tribute to that African patriot, the leader of PAC, Professor Mangaliso Sobukwe. As we move towards the socio-economically empowered youth, the president here today is going to give us the way forward, umhlahlandlela, and answer the question of the chairperson of the NYDA, but also all of us who are called upon to observe and listen to the president as he's preparing to come to the fore to address us on this very important day, Mr. President.
Amandla! Amandla! Long live the memory of Hector Peterson, long live. Long live the spirit of Solomon Mahlangu, long live. Program Director, Minister, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Minister of Arts and Culture, Nathi Mthethwa, ministers who are here, MEC Panyaza Lusufi, standing in from the Premier of Gauteng, deputy ministers who are here, and MECs of our Gauteng government, mayors and councillors of our various municipalities, the chairperson of the NYDA, Sifiso Mutweni, members of parliament and provincial legislatures, the president of the Pan-Africanist Congress, who is here on stage with us, the leadership of various youth formations who are here, Sanbonani, Abishen, Dumelang, Demacheroni, Molweni, Goeiemiddag. It is just over 2 months since we all got together here in Orlando Stadium. When we last got together here, we were bidding farewell to Mama Uwini Nomzamo Matikizela Mandela, a great woman of fortitude who, through her complete dedication to the liberation of our people, inspired generations of young people in the struggle for democracy. Today, we also gather here to commemorate and celebrate the heroic deeds of the youth of 1976 and all the other young lions who came after them. We also remember Ubaba Usem Zima, who passed away a few weeks ago, who took the photograph of Hector Peterson that was broadcast all over the world, a photograph which in many ways truly depicted the horror of what happened on the 16th of June in 1976, and we say, may his soul rest in eternal peace. We celebrate all the young people who launched the uprising in 1976. These were gallant freedom fighters who selflessly sacrificed their own lives for the liberation of their people. Today, we also celebrate a new generation of young freedom fighters who have dedicated themselves to the struggle against poverty and inequality, the struggle for dignity, for prosperity, and for justice for all. From those who have come before them, they have learned the value of selflessness, discipline, hard work, and an abiding love for the people of our country. As we seek to build a new, inclusive South Africa, we look with great eagerness to the creativity and the energy of the young people of our country. We look forward to them because young people have been at the center and at the forefront of every decisive historical moment in the struggle against colonialism and apartheid. The young people of our country have always distinguished themselves with their visionary talent, with their foresight, and their ability to be catalysts of political and social change. From the founders of the ANC Youth League in 1944 to the students who led the 1976 uprising, to the young lions of the 1980s, it is the youth of our country who speeded up the death of the apartheid system. Even as we built a democratic South Africa, it was the fearless young people who reminded us that liberation would not be complete until the wealth of the land of our country is shared amongst its people. It is the young people of our country who have said to us that we cannot have true democracy and freedom without economic emancipation. It is the young people of our country who have said that the question of land is the most important issue that we need to address. It is the young people of our country who have also said that the issue of skills and education should be put at the top of the agenda of our country. The current generation of youth has therefore chosen as its mission the attainment of economic freedom. Compatriots, youth continue to bear the brunt of unemployment, of poverty and inequality. If you want to experience poverty, just ask the young people of our country, and you will see poverty written all over their faces. They remain the hardest hit by disease, violent crime, drug abuse, and underdevelopment. We understand the frustration of young people who cannot find jobs, who do not have the skills and the experience employers are looking for, and are unable to find the support that they need to start their own businesses. Our shared responsibility as government, as business, as labor and civil society is to develop pathways for young people into the world of work. It is this task to which we should be directing all our efforts and all our energies. We are making progress in many of these areas. The National Youth Development Agency, the NYDA, has established a value chain of entrepreneurship which includes skills development, training, development finance, mentorship, support, and market linkages. More than 2,500 startup companies have been provided with funding, creating more than 10,000 jobs in the economy. 10,000 jobs that have been created as a result of the work that is being done by the NYDA. Let us give the NYDA a round of applause because they are doing some really good work. Beyond this, more than 25,000 young people have been placed in job opportunities over the past 3 financial years. Today, we have a very good example of what the NYDA is doing. The young people who are sitting on my right-hand side are the beneficiaries of what the NYDA is doing. We should be proud of these young people. Many of them are running their own businesses and they are successful at running their businesses. We should be proud as a nation that we've got young people represented in the NYDA who are championing the issues that affect young people, who are assisting other young people and creating successful entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs that are on my right-hand side are the industrialists of tomorrow. They are the big manufacturers of tomorrow. They are the big giants of business of tomorrow. And we must encourage them to keep growing and being successful. As President, I am very proud of all of you, and I congratulate you for the journey that you have taken. Government has done much through its public employment programs and investment in infrastructure to give priority to young people and women. It introduced the employment tax incentive to encourage companies to employ more young people. Government, business, labor, and civil society have started preparations for the Job Summit, which will need to take extraordinary measures to create jobs on a scale that we have never seen before in this country. it will need to forge a new social compact which mobilizes all sections of society beyond the task of growth and job creation. We have demonstrated what is possible through working together. The Youth Employment Service, which is an initiative led by the private sector and supported by government, as well as labor, was launched earlier this year to bridge the gap between school and work. With a number of large companies already involved, it aims to create 1 million experience opportunities for young people over the next 3 years. As part of this initiative, small businesses and micro enterprises that are run by young people will also get assistance through wage sponsorship and through business literacy and entrepreneurial training. The challenge for unemployed youth is not only one of skills. There are many graduates in our country. Many young people are graduates. They have completed their university degrees. They have completed their college diplomas, and a number of them also have their skills certificates, but they remain unemployed. We must change this situation and get those graduates into jobs, because we cannot accept that graduates do not have work. Graduates must be in work. They must be doing their work in the businesses in our country. This is a vast pool of skills and knowledge that is just being wasted. Society has invested a great deal in the education of these young people, but our economy is not benefiting from this investment that society has made. On this Youth Day, we therefore call on all companies in our country, both in the public and the private sector, to make deliberate efforts to seek out unemployed graduates and employ them. And we say, companies, go and find those unemployed graduates, employ them. It is not a big burden on individual companies, but if taken up on a large scale, such a call could significantly reduce youth unemployment while bringing much needed skills and capacity into the economy. Employers must understand that for our country to succeed, for their businesses to thrive, they must take responsibility for providing young people with the work experience they need. So our graduates must be employed without having this added requirement of experience, because experience has become a barrier to employing young people into the job situation. So today, I agree with the NYDA that this requirement of experience must be put aside. Young people will gain experience when they are in work. They must realize that the only way to get work experience is to put young people in work. That is the way young people will get experience. If we are to succeed in creating more jobs for young people, our economy needs to grow faster, and for that to happen, it therefore needs to bring in more and more young people into the world of work without requiring that they must have experience. Where will they get experience if not in the workplace? So allow them to get into the workplace, because that is where they will get their experience. The other important thing, of course, is that for young people to get into the job situation or into employment, we need investment. We need investments to flow into our country, into our various companies. We have earmarked a massive investment drive that aims to attract $100 billion, which is 1.3 trillion rand, into our economy in the next 5 years. We are focusing on investment into those parts of the economy that have the greatest potential for growth and for creating jobs, also for young people. We are focusing on investment that will create opportunities for young people in particular, and for women. If we are to make effective use of this investment, young people need to be equipped to participate in the fourth industrial revolution. That is why we are investing so significantly in education. We are making great progress in ensuring that no child, regardless of their circumstance, regardless of where they come from, regardless of who their parents are, regardless of who they are, should be denied access to education. Despite significant challenges, we are continuously working to improve the quality of teaching and learning in our schools, progress that is reflected in the consistent improvement of the matric pass rate. We are working both to improve the quality of education and the environment in which learning and teaching takes place. This year, we have agreed that emergency measures are needed to ensure that sanitation in schools is safe and hygienic. We cannot afford to lose another young life to unsafe school toilets. We can no longer expose our children to illness, to injury, and the indignity of inadequate toilet facilities. Fellow South Africans, from the beginning of this year, students from poor backgrounds entering universities and colleges for the first time are receiving free education. The very demand that was part of the Freedom Charter. This is a great victory for young people. You as young people demanded free education for children from poor backgrounds is now here. And we thank you for your struggle, because the nation has listened to you. It is a vindication of struggles that have been fought over many years for quality education that is free, for quality education that is accessible and relevant. It will have a far-reaching effect on the lives of millions of youth enabling them to acquire skills, to find employment, to build their careers, and enjoy an improving quality of life. This will do much to break the cycle of poverty. More than that, it will ensure that our economy is able to draw on a far larger pool of knowledge and expertise. Having achieved this great milestone, young people now have a responsibility to make full use of the educational opportunities available, because young people need to realize that as they have rights, and we are trying to perfect and fulfill the rights that young people have, they also have responsibilities. And one of their key responsibilities is to take advantage of the educational opportunities that are available. Young people must go to school and they must pass. That is their responsibility. And as the nation invests in fulfilling your rights, similarly, you must reciprocate by acting on your responsibility of going to school and passing and getting your qualification. The other important responsibility that young people have is that they must work hard at institutions of higher learning. They must achieve outstanding results and use their skills to contribute to building a new society. We look to the youth to continue to be at the forefront of the struggle for a non-sexist society. The empowerment of women, especially young women, must be one of our central tasks as we seek to build an inclusive society. We must ensure that young women have the same educational opportunities as their male counterparts, that they are equally able to compete for jobs, and they receive equal pay for equal work. Young men and young women need to work together to put an end to all forms of violence against women, especially the devastating scourge of rape and femicide. The recent spate of murders of young women by young men is deeply disturbing and requires that as a nation and as individuals, we take decisive action to end such crimes. This generation of young South Africans has an opportunity to fundamentally change gender relations and to achieve full and meaningful equality between men and women in all spheres of life. The challenges that our youth face are great, but they are not insurmountable. We can overcome them if we work together. We can overcome them if the youth take the lead and become agents of their own liberation. Young people must be preoccupied with activities that contribute to making South Africa a better and safer country to live in. This means that they must not indulge or engage in alcohol and drug abuse. It means that they must not participate in crime and corruption. And more importantly, Young people must keep themselves safe from HIV by using condoms, abstaining from early sexual activity, and being tested regularly. As we celebrate Youth Day in 2018, we recall the lives of two outstanding founders of the youth movement in our country, Utata Nelson Mandela, no Mama Albertina Sisulu, whose centenaries we are marking this year. These two giants embodied the values and the qualities from which we should all draw lessons and inspiration. Utata Madiba, no Mama Sisulu, were always ready to serve as volunteers for the greater good of our people without any motive of personal gain. They sacrificed their own interests to fight for the freedom of others. And the best way we can honor their sacrifices is to follow their example. The best way we can honor their names and their lives is to honor them by being exemplary like them. We must shun selfishness and strive for collective prosperity. We must fight for the rights of others as much as we fight for our own. We cannot stand idly by while the rights of others are being violated, while there are people in the world who are still colonized, oppressed, and exploited. We cannot rest while there are still millions of people who go hungry, who do not have shelter, and who do not have work. We have a responsibility, each and every one of us, to do everything in our power to make the lives of others better. The spirit of Mandela and Sisulu lives on in the young people of this country. It lives on in their dreams, in their determination, in their struggles for a better life. It lives on in their desire to be part of building a new nation of equality, prosperity, and progress. It lives on in their willingness to lend a hand, to be ready to say, Yebo, Tatu Madiba, Yebo, Mama Sisulu, Tuma mina, send me, so that I can go and help others. If we do our part, we will all succeed. It is this that today we see represented in various youth formations in our country, especially the NYDA. I have found the leadership of the NYDA being a group of young people who are prepared to emulate and walk in the footsteps of Nelson Mandela and Mama Albertina Sisulu. I have found them to be young people who are willing to champion the rights of other young people. And I call on all other youth formations in our country and say, be young people similar to young people of the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 1980s. Young people who were prepared to sacrifice a lot for the interests of others. The NYDA today is serving the interests of young people. They have turned their organization around And today they are focusing on building entrepreneurs of the future, on training young people of the future and equipping them with good skills. And we applaud them and wish that they carry on with this important task. Today, they have impressed me greatly by bringing all these young people on the right-hand side as a true demonstration of the work that they are doing. On my part, I want to see more and more of the young people who are sitting on the right-hand side increasing by leaps and bounds. And when they can do so, that is when their plea for more money, for more resources, will then fall on listening ears, because then we can see the work that they are doing. But today, these young people are a true representation of the type of young people that we want to see in our country. And for that reason, I applaud you all as young people who have taken up the task of liberating yourself and making yourself a lot better. And the road to prosperity for you is therefore open. And we will continue to open the road for prosperity for many, many other young people in our country as we continue to create jobs, open up pathways, empower the young people in our country so that the South Africa they inherit should be a South Africa that is prosperous and looking forward. With that, I wish you the best Youth Day this year in 2018, and thank you very much. Forward with the youth of our country, forward. Forward with the youth of South Africa, forward. Amandla. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President, for the message to all the young people. We hope they've taken leave from what you are saying, and they will go and implement all the good ideas that as government we are doing. We wish to acknowledge the President of the PAC, Ubaba Mloto, who joined us almost when the President was about to speak. Wave. We are waiver. Can we now get a vote of thanks by the Deputy Executive Chairperson of the NYDA, Miss Baverile Hlongwa? Amandla, awethu, mabawuyeke, mabawuyeke, umhlaba wethu, mabawuyeke, mabawuyeke, umhlaba wethu, thina sizwe, thina sizwe esimnyama, sikhalela, sikhalela izwe lethu. Amandla.
His Honorable, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa, Minister in the Presidency, responsible for planning, monitoring and evaluation, Mama Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, Minister of Arts and Culture, Mr. Natim Tetwa, Premier of Gauteng, Mr. David Makura, the Chairperson of the National Youth Development Agency, the CEO of the National Youth Development Agency, the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all the young people of South Africa that we stand as the NYDA board to represent. We are here to do a vote of thanks, President. And we want to indicate that we have heard you, and we must admit that in a light moment, the Tumamina Walk resolutions have come through, and we are excited as young people. Because our challenges as young people, they span across many issues. As we have mentioned, the issue of skills and education, the issue of unemployment, the issue of poverty and inequality. Now, if we were to respond properly on these challenges, we will skill young people. And around skilling young people, we will also try and respond to the issue of the fourth industrial revolution, which we believe as the NYDA, at some point we need to sit down with government and agree on a strategy to phase it in, because it's here, it has arrived. But we also need an institution that will assist us train these young minds who are creative, who are advanced in terms of technology in any way that you can think of. And that is why we will say the University of Science, Engineering, Innovation and Technology must then be built in this country, so that at least we can prepare. But in the meantime, we can do the exchange programs with countries that are already advanced. We are going to assist, we are assisting, and we are going to continue assist young people establish small businesses, President. And one of the challenges we have around that is that the NYDA has 17 now, chairperson because of Mpumalanga. 17 NYDA offices across the country. And we've agreed on one district, one office, so that they can access our services. This month, we are launching 7 offices. We've launched 2 already. There's 5 more to come. On the 26th, President, we are launching 2 in KZN. We'll be moving to other provinces. By the end of the month, we'll have done 7. But the entire year, the 2018-2019, we will launch 18. Then the rest of the 21 that will be left will do 2019-2020, so that young people can access these services that we are able to offer. We believe, President, that around the issue of money, which then comes after we have said so, the issue of looking at private sector to come on board is one that we must really give a good focus. I liked what you said earlier, that we are willing to give it a thought. All we are asking for is that just 50% of that budget, called corporate social investment, must go towards youth development. We can account for it, just take it through Treasury. PFMA will hold us down and will respond the way we are supposed to. We are, President, this year going to host, you are the host actually, of the BRICS Summit of the heads of states. And as a result, as young people, will be hosting the BRICS Youth Summit. We must also declare, President, that we've been speaking with our young people in the fellow countries in the BRICS to then establish an institutionalized approach to youth development. And if all goes well, we will be able to launch the BRICS Youth and Students League, which will then deal with the coordination of the work of young people in the space of BRICS, and also make sure that it is taken to the ordinary young people of our countries respectively. We, President, have done a lot of other work, and we are also going to be hosting SADC. I know that you are the chairperson of SADC. We also want to take a similar approach there. And we are requesting that you support us. We are also calling, because we are here in Gauteng, we've seen that the municipalities here, with the new leadership they have, they've kind of limited the Wi-Fi access. We are calling for the reopening of that Wi-Fi access because it assists our young people to continue the creativity work, one, but also to be able to look for jobs in a more easier and doable way. And we are asking the mayor of Johannesburg to open that Wi-Fi again so that we are able to access it. I am not here to address myself. I am just here to give a vote of thanks, and we want to thank you, President One, for honoring our program as young people. We also want to thank the Department of Arts and Culture to be here with us. We want to thank the entire cabinet that is here with us. Even those who are not here, we know that they support us and they are here with the young people. And we are saying to all of you,
all right, Deputy Executive Chairperson of the NYDA there, Ms. Belleville Shongwa. Vote of thanks to the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, and these hundreds of people who have gathered here at Orlando Stadium during this day. Of course, I'm joined now by my colleague, Mzwandile Mbeje. Mzwai, a lot of things that the President had to say. What stood out for me was the fact that he did make a brave move and acknowledge that there are still challenges that our young people are facing, looking at the fact that there's still a high rate of unemployment. He says that the frustration is written all over the faces of the young people, that really they are desperate, needing some jobs here in South Africa.
The fact that Abongele, the President, was very clear to support Sfiso Mtsweni, the chairperson, that the need for experience really should be relooked, because that is one thing that is frustrating young people from getting employment. So he said companies from across the country must be bold enough to employ young people. So you can see that his speech focused mainly on the employment, or rather unemployment, of young people. He was even saying this generation now needs to take, they've already done so, by the way, to take the issue of economic emancipation very, very seriously, because the generation of 1976 took this struggle, and look where we are today. So theirs is to then take up the baton in the economic terms. The biggest challenge facing this country is unemployment. And of course, if we have so many people unemployed, our economy will struggle. And that's why he also mentioned that upcoming investment conference sometime in September, where he hopes to bring in $100 billion over 5 years into the country. That would be about 1.3 trillion rand.
And of course, he did touch base on the issue of education, Mzwai, saying that yes, they are working tooth and nail to make the point that the system is being improved. Another thing that I would say is a positive. He did mention the fact that free higher education from early this year is now a reality.
Indeed, whatever is happening, whatever you want to achieve as a country, when we talk about fourth industrial revolution, you need people who have skills to deal with matters relating to that. So that is why he said there are challenges, but there is progress. So, and if you also make sure that poor people are not denied. That's why that announcement by the government late last year, which got affected this year, that poor people from poor backgrounds must be able to attend a tertiary institution. So that's a sign to say this country needs to really refocus on the skills that will look at the issue of the economy, because the crust of the matter in this country is our economic structure. If it remains like this, people will not be able to access employment. That is why education must happen. People must be skilled in the right fields so that they're able to attend to this.
And of course, finally from my side, the fact that now he's made an appeal to your public and private sector, your companies, to actually give an opportunity to those graduates, who are sitting at home frustrated because they're not getting a job. An important call, though, to the private sector as well.
You know that there have been a number of people, young people, standing on the corners with their certificates, crying out to the nation to say, here we are, we have studied, but we have no work. That is where the private sector and government as well comes in.
Okay, of course, we did mention the fact that there's a lot of activity taking place throughout the country. We're going to revisit Tarfontein, that is where former President Thabo Mbeki is actually having an event that has to commemorate June 16. Let's take a listen.
This is our Youth Day. And indeed, it's not a student day, it's a Youth Day. So I think it was indeed very important that we had the possibility to participate in the...
All our trailblazers that have joined us today, including all the patriots that are with us, wish to thank all the regions. We now come to the end of our program. Stembuguti, you'll enjoy the rest of the afternoon. We are now releasing the president to go and do other duties. Siyabonga kakhulu.
Nisekhona. That is indeed a beautiful thing. This is really good. We're going to be working a couple of other things. I think we're still going to continue. Silalele ukuthi yini abasiphathele yona njengohulumeni wethu on June 16. All right. Ningathini mangathi umlindi ukhona? Are you guys ready for the one and only Alima?
Jerusalem? Are you ready? Are you ready to Jerusalem? Are you ready to Jerusalem? Good. Jerusalem. Luna bayeza dibi, kiri sukuluan. Luna bayeza dibi, kiri sukuluan. Liwodimo, liwusi, liwulezi mabilu sekekile. Liwodimo, liwusi, liwulezi mabilu sekekile. Are you ready? Are you ready to Jerusalem? Are you ready? Are you ready to Jerusalem? Are you ready? Are you ready? Jerusalem. Are you ready? Are you ready? Jerusalem. Are you ready? Are you ready to Jerusalem? Are you ready? Are you ready to Jerusalem? Onomats, get set. Are you ready to Jerusalem? Onomats, get set. Are you ready to Jerusalem? Are you ready?
We are ready.
Are you ready to Jerusalem? Thank you, Soweto! Thank you!
Thank you, Siyabonga. Can I please have the Chibonshi dance? Let's do the countdown. 5, 4. Chibongi Dance Theater is coming through on stage. In 5, 4,
3, 2, 1. Let's hit it.
let's
We
go.
have triumphed in the effort to implant hope in the breasts of the millions of our people. We enter into a covenant that we shall build a society in which all South Africans, both black and white, will be able to walk tall without any fear in their hearts, assured of their inalienable right to human dignity. A rainbow nation at peace with itself and the world.
Make some noise for Chibonshi Theater Dance. Washa Lilizela.
Oh,
All right, former President Thabo Mbeki there speaking in Tarafandane, calling on the youth, of course, to take the baton and actually work hard towards their future. But Mzwandile, one of the most important issues that he did highlight on was the upcoming elections in Zimbabwe next month, saying that they only hope that it will be as peaceful as it could be, seeing that there's been quite a lot of political developments in that country.
Indeed, remember when he was still president, he was very involved in the mediation process. And of course, at some point, some people were accusing him of the quiet diplomacy, which at the time felt it was right. And I think even now, as he had said, the president really still feels very strongly about how he handled the issues. So President Mbeki is one of those people, if he believes in something, he would really stick by it. And that's why we are talking about the issue of him believing what he was doing for Zimbabwe as they are preparing for a new, their own new dawn. Yes. So was correct.
Yes, of course. And of course, another important issue that one needs to highlight, Mzwai, is the fact that this year is the centenary of Utatu Mandela, Nelson Mandela, and Mama Albertina Sisulu. One of the icons who've had a role to play in as far as establishing youth and empowering youth in South Africa as well.
Interestingly, those two icons we're talking about have connections to this place, Soweto, of course, the biggest township in the land. And it's quite important that an event of this nature is happening here. Yes. At the time where, if they were still alive, they would be turning 100. So that really is an inspiration to young people that if they decide to take the future into their own hands, they can then get the outcomes in which they desire. So this is what these two giants did. They made sure that despite the challenges and the difficulties of the time, they were prepared to fight for this country. Today, you and I are standing here talking to the nation. It was made possible by those two giants. So the youth of today can make their own difference, learning from the experiences of those people that we are speaking about today.
On the issues that had to do with the young people in South Africa with Mama Albertina Sisulu. Let's take a look.
As we remember the youth of 1976, we also remember one of the guiding lights of the youth of 76, Mama Albertina Nontsikelelo Sisulu. The one who led the struggle on many fronts and nurtured a generation of youth leaders.
She brought us up, taught us many of the things that we got to know about the struggle, many of the things that we got to know about how we should conduct ourselves.
At the height of repression, and when Soweto was burning and its children dying, Masisulu emerged steadfastly and filled the void that was left by the forceful exiling and imprisonment of leaders like Mandela, Tambo and others.
In the afternoon at 3 o'clock, I nearly died here, when the children were fighting with stones and the police were around this hall, shooting at the children.
When the police were starting to shoot and do all those things. When Mamuwini, for instance, we're starting to, Mamuwini, I'm bringing in the mothers, Mamuwini, Mam Sophie Tima, the reporter, the journalist, when they were starting, you know, to scream at us, saying, hey, you know, they're killing children, screaming at the police, wanting to fight, you know, carrying all the bodies, you know. Part of the bodies, you know, were dealt with, and by Masisulu.
Under constant harassment, arrests and pressure from the police, Masisulu was burned from any social or political gathering or places where students were.
I think sometimes because she was banned for such a large part of her life, people didn't see her very visibly, and nor did people understand the role that she played in the world. She was someone who always just cared about women and grew young women leadership in a way that has pulled all of us into the mainstream.
Also had to fill the void of political leadership for the youth.
It was quite important that we then form COSAS. In the same breath, we know that through the area committees of the United Democratic Front, Umama ensured that there are youth projects that looked at the empowerment and development of the youth holistically.
Sisulu combined political and parental guidance in her work against apartheid, and she was also seen as a mother figure to all activists.
She was a uniting force. Masisulu did not see in you your T-shirt. Whilst the struggle of 1976 was a very strong black consciousness-oriented struggle, pushed by thinking of black consciousness, pushed by militancy of black man, you're on your own, black man fight mental and psychological liberation. Masisulu spoke the same language.
Masisulu stretched her arms in every direction to include people. I sometimes fought with her, you know, because some of the people she would include were like, I would say, but these people ideologically, you know, Mama, they come from another ideological perspective.
Albertina Sisulu also facilitated the departure of many young people into exile post-1976 and mobilized youth, more especially young women. She mentored a number of young women activists who called themselves Masisulu girls.
Gathered a group of young women. I was very fortunate to be amongst those young women. And people used to call us Masisulu's girls, which is fine. And really, she trained us politically. But it wasn't just theoretical, a theoretical understanding of politics, because she forced us to read.
Masisulu was best known as the wife of Walter Sisulu, but she was also a fearless leader and an activist in her own right. She inspired a generation of leaders who have since swelled the ranks of the democratic movement and government. Throughout all of this, she was a mother, not only to her children, but she was a mother to all.
We need Masisulu as a chapter of women leaders in this country. And if we are to celebrate that life, and if we are to touch Masisulu's life, she will also fit well in the history and heritage of the youth leadership of 1976.
Sons and daughters of Africa, to me today, I'm a big, great mother.
All right then, Mama Sisulu there being remembered and honored for her role and participation in the empowerment of youth in South Africa. Very interesting views and sentiments coming out of that insight, Mzwai.
Indeed, talking about the importance of young people in how they can rebuild their history. And we know, for example, earlier we spoke to the MEC for Education here, Panyaza Lusufi, who had very strong views about what people do when they protest, particularly the banning of schools. The 1976 class had issues. But what they did was that they did not ban schools, but they banned the symbols of apartheid.
Yes.
So this is really different. As we really explore that issue of why our young people, when they protest, ban our schools, our producer, Tumisho Mashaba, would really give us an insight, as you can see in this report.
Burning tires, barricaded roads, the burning and the destruction of public property and infrastructure. It's an all too common occurrence across South Africa's townships whenever service delivery protests take place. And at the forefront of these protests, young, black, unemployed youths leading the charge. The recent protests in the northwest that called for the removal of Supra Mahumapelo as premier of the province saw 35 minors being arrested for public violence.
Used to do those crimes and they were used by their parents, more especially by their parents. But as leaders, what are we saying about those young people?
Some say the culture of violent protests with young people in the forefront can be traced back to the Soweto student uprisings of 1976. That uprising led to widespread insurrectionary violence across South African townships. But it's worth noting, however, that the 1976 uprisings were indeed peaceful. Until, of course, the students were met with brute force from the apartheid state. And some say the 80s was a seminal point of when the violent culture of protests in South Africa was firmly entrenched. But why is it that 24 years after the attainment of democracy, people still feel the need to burn, to loot, and to tear down public property and infrastructure for their grievances to be heard?
And now this culture all of a sudden, that if I burn tires, if I burn a school, if I burn a clinic, if I burn a library, if I burn whatever is government offices, wherever they are, then government will give attention to us. They will come running. And indeed, we have been going running each time there's a protest of that nature that is violent. So, and that should not be the culture. The culture must be consistent, continuous communication that is going to the people at all given times.
Is it unemployment, idleness, a feeling of hopelessness, of not being listened to by the government perhaps, that leads young people to resort to such violence during service delivery protests?
The youth is getting impatient, and maybe the classic impatience is manifested through the protests at universities, fees must fall, and so forth. And if we don't engage with them and bring their participation and their energy and innovation into driving the implementation of the plan, then we are just creating a plan for people who are not participants. And that will not be really the meaning of what the NDP was developed for.
But the violence, no matter how legitimate the grievance, remains unacceptable. And it's not without its consequences, especially for young people.
I want to say to the minors, they must not waste their future, because you're going to have records which are going to be used against them while they are going to look at for employment as time goes on.
While the Constitution does protect people's rights to protest, it's worth considering that violent protests not only lead to the damage of infrastructure, but also to the country's image. President Cyril Ramaphosa, for example, had to cut short an important trip abroad to resolve the Northwest issue.
If there's a genuine protest, why people go and loot? So indeed, there are those criminal elements who are taking advantage of this situation.
So what should be done to ensure that our youth are playing a meaningful role in the country's economy instead of engaging in violent protests that offer little prospects for their future?
We've got to find new places, new spaces, new faces, new industries, and very importantly, new pathways for these 5.9 million young people to walk. It is a big number. It is a third of our youth population.
As you can see, we are raising our hand to be part of the solution, because we don't believe that you must now and then make revolutionary sounding slogans. But we believe that as young people we must engage through the strength of our own ideas. If we have any grievances, it won't help us to shout in a corner and not come to the fore with ideas that may put a dent or bring opportunities to young people.
Dumiso Mashaba, SABC News, Johannesburg.
All right, that's a wrap from us here at Orlando Stadium.
Indeed, from me as well, Mzwandile Mbeje, the official proceedings have concluded. There will be activities elsewhere, but from our side is a goodbye.